All right, happy Halloween. On to the next week in the NFL, ready to roll. I'll let you guys ask your questions.
When you go back through the game in Washington and you reflect on the shaky start of the passing attack, what did Washington do to kind of get you guys out of the rhythm that we had seen the previous few games?
Yeah, I think some of that was getting ourselves behind the sticks a little bit with some penalties. It happened a couple times in that game, and we talked about playing efficient, talking about a lot more about us and looking inwardly and what can we do, whether it's coaching or playing or the penalty thing that can keep us on a better track. And I think especially in the first half of that game, looking inwardly and how can we maximize each opportunity as an offense.
When you look at Caleb's game in particular, he has an undeniably shaky performance, misses some throws that he usually doesn't miss, but then finds it in the fourth quarter. What did that tell you, that finish to that game?
Yeah, you see a true competitor that's never going to give in, that's going to make everyone around him have that belief that no matter what the score is early in a game, at the end of the game, we're going to have a chance to win it.
Seven games in, how would you assess the way that you guys have handled teams that have opted to blitz you guys pretty heavily?
Yeah, I think it depends on the week, right? We operated at a good level earlier on in the year. I think that's going to be a week-to-week thing, and I think just as much as the teams that have blitzed us, it's the teams that have shown disguises, because we're going into another week this week with Nick Rallis in Arizona, where they do an excellent job of bringing exotic pressures into those third down situations or known passing situations, but they also do an excellent job of showing that look and then pulling out and playing coverage on different situations there. So I think for us, all about the communication. I think Coleman Shelton's done a really good job of handling that communication at the center position, working with Caleb. And to me, all the pressure looks that we get, all the different ones that we've gotten throughout training camp, and we keep stacking those reps and keep getting better at those every single week, so we can always play clean against the blitz, which is a goal every single week.
Is it generally speaking about the slow start? I totally appreciated the specifics, but why has that kind of been a pattern for you guys? Is it nervous early? Is it jittery? What's going on early?
Yeah, I think like this past game there, obviously getting behind the sticks right away on that opening drive. Then we get into the second drive and we move the ball down the field and then have a chance. And then we have another penalty, puts us back behind the sticks a little bit. So it's something that inwardly we've talked about every single week, and it's something that we've addressed and talked through, the why each game. Because again, each game has its different set of issues that may present themselves. And then, as we've gotten into games, then we've settled in. And it's obviously this last one in the fourth quarter, but different games, the second half, the Rams game, where we've had, build up to that point that we want to be at. So it's about getting out there, being confident, talk through the different things and staying ahead of the sticks and having a successful first quarter. But then also having that mindset, though, of the first quarter, if something doesn't work out, all right, we got to bounce right back for the next play, the next drive, the next opportunity to score.
And as you reflect back on Sunday, the handoff to Kramer, the goal line, what made that the right decision in your mind at the time? And as you've gone back since, how do you reflect on that play call?
I'll work backwards on the question there. Reflecting on it, I think every play call that doesn't work out, you go back and look at it and see, was it the best call in that situation? And I think I'll always look inwardly first. And every play call that doesn't work out, obviously you're going to have a sense of, what could I have done better as a play caller? What situations could I put those guys in? But I also, going back to the play, I have all the confidence in the world in all of our players. And I think something that we've repped and worked on came up in the moment as a 3rd and 1 call there. It didn't work out, but what I was most proud about was seeing then our defense go get a 3 and out. Our offense comes over to the sideline. Everyone's eyes are up. Everyone's communicating, and they're ready to attack the next drive and have a chance to score on that next drive as well.
A couple times this season, you've opted to go with a specialty play kind of down at the goal line, and it hasn't worked in your favor. Is there kind of a risk versus reward that you have to go through when trying to decide when to go with those plays? Because you guys have been incredibly efficient as well.
Sure.
Just saying, I'm going to punch you in the mouth and score a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a balance, just like you said, and you look at the risk reward. I think looking back earlier in the season and knowing, probably referring to the Colts game there, in the 4th and 1, and I won't shy away from these things. I know I could have done a better job of getting us prepared in that moment, having a better play call in that instance. Try to learn from it. felt moving forward here, hey, we have different plays that are not all vanilla, and when's the right time to use those. Again, felt confident, always feel confident in our guys' ability to execute those, and then got to reflect and look at, hey, when the next scenario comes up, what can we all do it better to execute in that situation.
As you go back on the after action stuff with some of your players after, what are those conversations like? You take accountability
Mhm.
for us here. How is that for you as a coach when you talk to your players about what did work and what didn't work?
Yeah, I think always starts with clear, open, and honest communication with the guys. I think that allows us to have good feedback both ways, player to coach, coach to player. And so each week we finish that, whether it's a win or a loss. I think the most important thing is getting in on Monday and being able to communicate with each other on things that we can do better, things that we can improve. And I think all of our guys, whether it's the guys that play a lot, whether it's the younger guys, I just feel a good, open and honest connection within the room, so we can go into the meeting rooms, talk about things. If there's something that we want to tweak or something that we want to change, I think that all starts with our ability to talk with each other and to each other, and not put up any sort of guard or any defense mechanism, to be able to actually hear everything that's going on and hear the thoughts from the player's mind, from the coach's mind, and then putting the best thing together. So what's best for the Bears.
Shane, the criticism of the Kramer call, whether it worked or not, was that it was too critical of a situation to give the ball to a center who's never had a carry in an NFL game or probably a college game for that matter. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I felt confident in the moment in that call, and it didn't work out. And some of the calls, when the calls don't work out, there's going to be the criticism. I'll always look inwardly first, and then move on to the next one. And we're on to Arizona with that.
But it wasn't just a matter of whether it worked or not. It's that there was the theory is that there was a higher risk giving it to of the ball to a guy who's never been in that situation in a real game.
Mhm.
Is that a valid criticism?
I think there's always valid criticism when things don't work out. And like I said, we'll work inwardly, we'll wrap our arms around each other and work to look forward and execute better, and call better plays the next situation that arises in.
Would you do it again if you had to do it? If you had to do it all over again? Would you
In
do
that
the
moment,
call?
yeah, I was confident. We had trust in it, and looking back at it, all the things that go into any call throughout the course of the game, whether it's early calls in the game that lead to stuff not working out, or calls in the middle, calls at the end, critical calls, always assess those and go forward.
Taking the players' personnel out of it, what exactly went wrong with that actual handoff?
Say that again. Sorry, I missed the first part.
Regardless of who was involved in the
I
play,
gotcha.
what went wrong with the operation of the handoff in that moment?
Yeah, I think it wasn't a clean handoff, and those guys, and we looked at it and moved forward from it, and didn't work out. Obviously, the ball ended up ricocheting forward, and something that hadn't come up but did come up, and worked forward to clean it up.
I've heard a number of times Caleb Williams tell us he's missing throws that he wouldn't normally miss. When you go back and you look at those missed throws, what are you kind of seeing or diagnosing from those situations?
Yeah, I think Caleb's just doing a good job of just building an inventory of seeing these throws, different ones that he knows that he can make, especially early on in the games, and does a good job of looking to self-correct, looking to see, making sure feet, eyes, rhythm is all in a good spot right there, and then it's when it's a chance to work off schedule, and hits that first throw and then clicks right in. And I think the best part about Caleb, though, is if he misses a throw, he has that forward-thinking mindset, so he's ready for that next play, ready for that next challenge. So he never lets that a play before or an incompletion before. I look back to the Jacksonville game, an interception. He doesn't let that affect his next play. He'll come right back out there, ready to fire and ready to go through the process.
Shane, from your time in the NFC West, you obviously have familiarity with Buda Baker.
Mhm.
How do you describe his value to that D, and what kind of strain he puts on?
Yeah, I think around the league each week there's a lot of great players on every team, and and then there's these unique players like Buda Baker that really set the tone, set the attitude, set the culture for a team and for a defense. And I think the way that he his ability to run and hit and cover, impact the game, run the alleys, going against him multiple times. Talk about a fearless player that's always in attack mode. So he's one of those guys that we always have to respect. We need to account for. They obviously use a unique structure with how they're able to move him around. So it's a big part of our game plan and a big part of our week for a guy that we have a ton of respect for.
What else stands out about their defense beyond Buda Baker?
Yeah, starting with Buda Baker, and then the ability to move around Collins, or their different pieces with Wilson. When non-normal alignments, they might be at defensive line alignments, they might be at linebacker alignments. so they can mix and match. I think Coach Rawls, it's a very unique scheme. So it's something that we honed in on, starting to work on Monday, and then have worked all the way through, and it'll be a good challenge to attack.
If Braxton Jones can't go, what is your plan? What options do you have at left tackle? And more specifically, do you prefer to make one change instead of moving two guys? Moving a guard to tackle and then someone else at guard. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we have a lot of different options as it goes down the road as the week goes on. I'll let Coach Flus talk about starters or non-starters or any of the injury designation, so to speak. But speaking to the one position move versus the two position move, there's always a benefit if you can get away with it being a one position move. So that way, you have someone that can fill right in, and you're not taking two guys, putting them out of position. But again, we've got to evaluate each week, what puts the best five out there in positions that they feel comfortable with, and that goes all the way back to training camp, where you cross-train, linemen throughout the year. Came up in this past week's game where guys had to play in different spots when injuries do occur. So I think the guys are always ready. Chris Morgan's done a great job of cross-training guys, so whatever the final starting five end up being, they're ready to play and play at a high level.
Shane, as an extension of that, how do you guys collectively as a staff figure out Larry Borum's readiness after an extended absence and just trying to gauge where he's at?
Yeah, I think Larry's done an unbelievable job. First of all, when he was injured, going back to the preseason, gets injured, and that happens, of staying connected, staying involved, staying up to date with the scheme, and he's worked his butt off to get back healthy through that rehab, and then gets a chance to get out on the practice field. And this is a guy that's played in games and played at a high level. So his readiness from a mental standpoint is right there, physical standpoint right there, and then so we have all the trust in the world of him playing at a high level in the game.
And we saw a couple times where Caleb made some changes at the line.
Mhm.
For snap, and obviously, you guys have a lot of trust in him to do that. What is the balance maybe for him to? You want him to make the call if he sees something, but you ever want him to just maybe make it a little simpler too when he's seeing so many different things going on?
Yeah, I think for him, we have different systems within our offense, whether it's 2 play calls in the huddle or the ability to change a call at the line of scrimmage, and all of it's based on a structure of things that we've talked about throughout the course of the week. Caleb has a great grasp on that and that readiness to get us in and out of different plays depending on specific looks right there. So as he keeps growing and as he's done every single week, having that big picture knowledge, that understanding of getting us into the right spot, and so I think for us as a coaching staff, we have all the trust in the world in him and letting him as the quarterback operate at the line when certain looks present themselves. It might be an issue for a play that's called, but we have a toolbox that he can get to, and he has the freedom to do that.
Hey, with that being said, Coach Flus talked about how a couple of times Caleb had the option to hand the football off or throw it in some critical plays. Running at the goal line, he throws it on first down the fade to DJ Moore, and then the screen pass that ended up going to DJ that was negative yards. On that, do you kind of have to protect a young quarterback who's trying to make a play in a tough game and say, this is just a run the football type of play. We need to run the football here. We don't want to give them the option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like different scenarios will play out like that one there, especially when you're first in goal with the time clock there. Having that chance to get DJ one-on-one, great. Didn't get that one there, so knowing we can come right back on the ball and get that same play on a handoff mindset right there. So I think Caleb has a really good understanding of the when or the why in certain scenarios, and so again goes back to the work that he puts in gives us the trust to allow him to operate and have that freedom to get to the best look or the best decision in each particular play.
I think you called this Cardinals scheme unique.
Mhm.
What makes it unique?
I think it's unique with the way they can utilize their linebacker spots, both on the ball and off the ball, and then Budda Baker, where he's able to, with him, Thompson, with the safeties, the DBs, they're able to play a lot of blurry structures pre-snap with a 3 safety starting point right there, and then rock and roll into different looks. So it's just, like I said, it's a little different than other schemes. They might get into some of the final coverages or front structures that are normal, but the way that they get to those is non-traditional. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Right. Great challenge in front of us this week, starting with the quarterback of this offense, Kyler Murray. You could describe him as a nightmare for opposing offenses, defensive coordinators. This young man has tremendous speed, arm talent. He can change the arm angle against the rush. They've done an excellent job of protecting him, and he's done a great job of protecting the football, not a lot of opportunities for interceptions. And so everything that we aspire to do, and that's get hits on the quarterback, to put them in third down situations that would take advantage of what we've been able to do on third down. We want to definitely work to get that done. And it also starts with defending the run. They're number one, or they're in the top 5 in terms of explosive runs with James Conner, big physical back, downhill runner, runs behind his pads. The offensive line does a nice job not only of protecting the quarterback, but executing the various run schemes and run concepts that they will feature for him. So we're excited about the challenge going out here against an NFC opponent on the road and getting ourselves back on track. I'll take your questions.
How do you look at a day where your defense played stellar the entire day, but it comes down to one play that doesn't go your way? How do you evaluate that and grade that out in your mind?
Well, the same way that we would if things had turned the other way. You look at it and you assess exactly what happened, and you measure it against your values, your operations, what we're doing, what we're asking the guys to do, and you find a way to improve and to get better and use every single thing that happens in a ball game as an opportunity to promote and stimulate growth.
What'd you think of Jacob Barton? First chance to see him this season. He got out there and looked like he was after the quarterback a little bit.
The energy was obvious. His energy, the speed, the quickness, the toughness. I thought he did some really nice things, as an edge rusher. I thought he was in position a couple of times to not only affect the quarterback, but to hit him. And I'm looking forward to him taking a pretty significant leap this week.
You're coming off a game where the quarterback and Jaden Daniels rushed for 52 yards, 6.5 yards per clip. How does that get better against Kyler Murray, or is there just a certain amount that you're just going to expect from guys like that?
We won't concede, any yards from anyone. We've got to do a good job of making sure that we understand how to affect a quarterback with that type of speed and mobility. And that means that it starts with our 4-man rush. Where's the launch point? How can we squeeze and collapse the pocket inside out, make sure that we stay available to follow through and to just to execute the plan that we have in place. Some of the quarterback runs, those are assignment driven, and we have to make sure that we're in great position, and not only with the person who may be involved in the option play, but with the entire defensive concept.
I'm curious about the process on the final play the other night. From where you were, did you see that Tyrique had his back turned? And if so, is there a conversation about, hey, what's going on? Do we need to bang a timeout? What do we need to do?
No, where I'm standing, I'm watching. My eyes are where they were, starting with the line of scrimmage, and then I'm surveying the entire situation to look for some of the things that are typical for that situation, what we're going to expect from the offense, and then where we need to be aligned defensively.
With Tyrique, as a coach, what is it like this week for you to, I'm sure, enforce, hey, we don't do that here, but then find a way to turn the page and to help him turn the page?
Yeah, well, we don't have to, our operations, the way that we work, the way that I work is good, bad, or indifferent. My job is to develop the defense and every person that's involved in that, the entire construct. And so we know exactly what we have to do week in and week out. And when you have a moment like that, you have a situation where we don't finish the game the way that we want, we look at it. We also acknowledge some of the things that really put us in a position to be in that type of play. A team that was scoring 30 points a game, 4 field goals. It's outstanding. There were a lot of things that went on. But it's a moment of reflection. It's a moment of growth. And my job is to help every single person on the field in that situation.
Should anyone have seen that Tyrique was kind of going haywire at the beginning of that play? Is that, when you look back at how that ensued, should somebody of authority been, seen that and been able to do something about it?
I won't, what I just mentioned as far as what we're looking at, how we're managing the entire operation and looking at exactly what's going on. We're processing the situation. My expectation for every player on the field is to be in the right position and to do exactly what they're supposed to be doing at that particular point.
I don't know if this is in your purview or not, but do you have an opinion on consequences, and is there anything that you can or are allowed to reveal in terms of potential consequences for Tyrique Stevenson?
Yeah, my focus is moving forward, and making sure that we get the defense ready for the Arizona Cardinals. And that's where I am. And just I'm not involved. I'm not as much interested in consequences as I am making sure that we grow from every situation that we're involved in.
Eric,
How
is
do
there,
you
is there a
think that-
bigger picture issue with Tyrique and focus that you need to attend to and address? I mean, he had the personal foul earlier in the game that put them in field goal range. Is there something that you need to address with him and kind of coach him on as far as that goes?
Outside of what we're doing with Tyrique and every player that we have on our defense, no, I have complete confidence in Tyrique Stevenson. I have complete confidence in his position coach, John Hoke. And we just need to continue to work, continue to grow. I know Tyrique and I know everybody on our defense beyond that particular moment. And that's the advantage that I have that maybe others don't. I know him beyond that moment.
Eric,
How
the
do you
strength.
think Tyrique has handled just the fallout from what happened this week?
Well, I won't speak for Tyrique. From what I've been able to observe, we just came off of a tremendous walkthrough, the meetings, the debriefs, and he's focused, he's locked in, as the same way that everybody on our defense happens to be right now.
The strength of the red zone defense has been a theme all year. What did you notice in particular on Sunday? You mentioned holding them to 4 field goals and how you guys stepped up and made plays when you were down in there close.
Well, it's been consistent. That game didn't really reveal anything. I mean, we've been in a position, the guys have done a tremendous job in that part of the field of understanding the urgency that you need and understanding that, our goals are field goals and takeaways. We want to take the football away or force field goals. And so their urgency went up. We had to do things to defend the run. We had to do things in terms of affecting the quarterback, and everything was exactly what you wanted.
With Montez Sweat kind of battling through some things this season, what type of challenge has it been for you to kind of pick the spots on when to use them, when to rest them throughout a game?
Well, the reason we dress the number of players that we have is to make sure that we can keep our rotation and the guys on the line of scrimmage fresh and potent. And Montez is part of that. But you also want him in the game in what we call a gotta-have-it situation because of his talent and his ability to affect the game in our favor. And so we just, Travis has done a really good job of managing that, making sure that we don't overuse, but we have those types of guys ready for the moments where we need them the most.
How much of that is pre-planned, like before a game, talking about potential snap counts versus a feel for the game once the game has started and kind of understand, we might need to put them in here?
Oh, all of those things are factors in terms of when we start to really plan on how to use our rotation, personnel groups that the offense, some of those things that they're presenting to us, the way the game is flowing in real time, and just making sure that we manage what he's doing. You want him out there, but you want to make sure that we don't overuse him or underutilize him.
Follow up on that. He talked a couple weeks ago. It was interesting to hear him kind of explain what he's thinking about this. That the attention is different this year on him. That he's being treated by opposing offenses like one of those elite pass rushers with all the different things they do to guys like Mack and whoever else. And he said that he watches Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt and sees the things they do to beat those different schemes, and then brings some of that to you guys to talk about, hey, could we do this, could we do that? He said it all within the context of I need to do what's best for the defensive line as a whole. But what is you guys process, you and Travis and Montez, as far as figuring out what are some different ways what are some of those suggestions and ideas that he's picking up that we could use?
Well, you mentioned addressing him like an elite rusher because that's what he is. He's one of those guys that you have to account for offensively. And I think I mentioned several weeks ago about some alignment versatility that we have, some alignment variations that we can use, not only to get him in different spots, but to force matchups that may be favorable for us. We talk about all of those things. We want to make sure, and the other benefit of having a player like Montez is, as you probably are aware of, is, some of the rush production is spread out, amongst the other guys in the defensive line. We're the sum of our parts, if you will. And so if you're going to focus your attention on Montez, then a person away from his alignment has got to be productive. And we have to kind of discourage that with the production that we have from some of the other guys. So that's where we start. We have a lot of things within our package and some of the things that we talk about in terms of our game plan that we like to utilize and install. And when we feel like we're in a great opportunity to do that, we will.
Of course, you don't wanna give up anything, but when you see a day like Terry McLaurin had where a ton of yards, puts the team in position for field goals, but not giving up touchdowns, how do you grade that when he was going up against Tyreek?
Well, I will never isolate our coverage without associating our rush with it. And if there are yards being accumulated, we have to look at everything, the technique of what we're doing from a coverage standpoint, and then how we're affecting the quarterback. And then our coverage variation. Are we doing everything that we can to make sure that there's enough variation that the quarterback holds the ball for just another count to give the rush a chance to get there? We look at that, evaluate that, and it all starts with that. So that's the process that we use.
Kyler Murray's been at his best when Marvin Harrison Jr.'s been a factor. I know the Bears generally don't shadow anyone or target a receiver just in general, but how much of a priority has he become for a defense, and how well equipped is this defense to kind of keep him off that A game that's Wrexham team?
Yeah, he's growing as a player, and you see why he was picked and where he was, and his confidence is growing. He's becoming a person that you have to address, that you have to plan for, and his catch radius, the speed, the ability to get himself open and be in the right spot so that Kyler can get the ball out of his hands. We have to make sure that we do a good job with him in terms of shadowing him. We like our matchups with our corners against him, all of our corners. Tyrique, obviously Jalen, and any other person that we try to assign to his position. So we just have to go out and execute, do a great job of making sure that we put the quarterback in a position where he's not real sure what we're in, so that we can let the rush be effective.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, how's everyone doing? Good. Go ahead, shoot.
There were, I think it was just 2 punts. You guys went from in your own end zone to them I think fair catching it, deep in their own territory. Just in your mind, how big was that sequence from your phase of the game to help spur the comeback?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, Coach. I thought the punt team and what you're referencing did a phenomenal job in that situation, because that backed up situation is a situation that a lot of teams, quite honestly, just from me coaching different players from around the league, don't practice enough. And we practice it every week, and it's a credit to those guys that they went out there and performed. I thought the protection unit did a phenomenal job in that football game, whether it was backed up or it was in the plus 50 area to pin those guys, to give our defense a long field. I felt like the Gunners did a great job outside getting in the face of the returners, and we challenged them as well as the punt unit to make more impactful plays, and the Gunners did a phenomenal job with that, something we wanted to do coming out of the bye. I thought Torrey punted better in this game than he punted when he won Special Teams Player of the Week for the Rams. He had an amazing football game to punt the ball, the way he punted it, and the situations that he was presented with and how he punted the football was tremendous growth. And we just need to get more of that. But that's why that's an amazing question, and that's why I know you're watching the football game, because that had a tremendous impact on the field position.
What did you the last kickoff? Seemed like that was probably where we're supposed to go, kind of get them in the corner, and then were you happy with how you guys covered, kind of with the average kind of being about the 30, you guys got them at the 24?
Yeah, that was another. I thought, when you talk about plays that impact the game, that from a special team standpoint, I thought that was another phenomenal play. Another thing we challenged those guys with was the kickoff coverage coming out of the bye, and we wanted to be better in coverage. I thought our coverage units did an amazing job versus the number 3 kickoff return unit in the National Football League at that time. Eckler had returned one for a touchdown and had got called back, and then also had another big one against the Cincinnati Bengals. So we were ready for that situation. But what I will say about what you're asking is you can handle that situation one or two ways. You can kick the ball out the back of the end zone totally. That'll be more time on the clock. Or you can kick it the way Cairo kicked it, with great hang distance and location in the corner. An unbelievable play by Daniel Hardy to split a double team. And another guy almost tried to block him, and then he made that play at the 24. And what you won't see on that play is that Tavarius Moore and Travis Homer are right in position as they were trying to run that ball to the field. So if Hardy doesn't make it, we have two other guys that are in position that beat their blocks. So to contribute in that way meant the world to us, right with the game on the line. Like, it's about making plays like Hardy made from a special team standpoint when the game is on the line.
What was Cairo's range? It looked like you guys, I think he was punted at the 40 and 41, so it'd be what, 57, 58. Was there ever consideration to maybe try a field goal at that point in the game? I think it was first half.
Are you talking about the first half?
Yeah, I think there was two, maybe one in the first, one in the second.
Yeah, well, so for a competitive advantage, I can't ever tell you what his range is. But what I can tell you is we feel very comfortable with our kick lines going into the game, and we have a monster kick line as well that we will use if we feel like we're at that distance. And the great thing here is we've been blessed with Torrey, who's elite at pinning guys inside the 5 or 10 yard line if we don't feel like we want to kick it if it's in the best interest of our team. So that's kind of how our team is built. Anything else?
Well, I'm just curious, a 68-yard punt with a 21-yard return when you have a net, I mean, that's an acceptable net. I mean, that's a good result for you, or?
You talking about the first punt of the game when it was a 47-yard net?
Yeah, right.
It was a 47-yard net? Yeah, really, that's a good net. That net will get you top 5 in the NFL. You know, it'll get you top 5, for sure, top 10. You know, it depends on where you are on the field, Mark. You know what I mean? So if it just depends on the area of the field. Obviously, you always want to limit return yardage. And that's one play we could have been a hair better to get a guy in his face a little bit sooner. But again, that was the number 3 punt return unit in the NFL that we were playing too, and they're really good at that. What I love about that play, though, is that it was really the first live play of the football game, because the first other play was a touchback. So the first live football play of the game, you have the Gunners down there, but really not able to make the tackle because of the way they were blocked. And that they, on every other play, they were there. 6 out of 7 plays they won. This one, all right, obviously they didn't, so there's a little space there. So what happens is the coverage unit in the interior is now down there, and on the first live play of the ball game, Noah Sewell knocks the football out, and the ball just went their way. So in 2 back-to-back weeks, Daniel Hardy knocked the ball out in London, and we just missed recovering a fumble. We knocked the ball out last week, and we just missed it. So what I'm challenging them to do this week is knock it out again, but recover it this time. And that's what I want to get done. And we got a great group we're going against. You guys know I worked for Jeff Rodgers, phenomenal football coach, phenomenal person, does an outstanding job with his units. So we know they're going to be schemed up. We know they're going to be well-designed plays that he's going to have. And there's going to be some things that we haven't seen that we need to be prepared for. And I learned a lot from Jeff Rodgers. He's going to turn every stone that he can turn. I learned a lot from him, and I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to work under him. So our coverage units, everybody's going to have an extremely challenging task again this week because, again, DJ Dallas, all right, he scored the first touchdown in this dynamic kickoff model, and we got to cover against him. So we're looking forward to the challenge. I know it's a little long-winded, but I wanted to give you everything you need. Yeah, okay, buddy. All right, thank you all.